I love that.
Recording in progress. All right, now I'm going to go to the Scrutiny page and see it.
Cheri, I am so excited to be here today.
Are you so excited to be here? Oh,
Hanging out and visiting with you is one of my favorite things.
I know.
And we've both been like on the run
Mine
so
too.
much.
What?
We've both been on the run so much we haven't gotten to do it a lot.
I know. I miss our little, writing and planning sessions and stuff like that. Okay.
I was just thinking about that this morning. I was like, it's been forever since we've been able to do that.
I know. Maybe we can sometime during Christmas break while I'm off for 2 weeks.
Good idea, Cheri. Good on you.
All right.
Welcome to another episode of
Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy.
I'm Andy Vargo, and this is my bestie,
Cheri Hardman. We decided to do something.
Yeah?
Andy Vargo and I will do anything for attention.
Yes, we will.
I'll tell you what I did. My nails, my hair, and my nails, my hair.
You gotta give yourself credit for all the things you do.
I'll tell you what I did earlier, later.
Now I don't know when it'll happen.
Earlier. And we're here to discuss my nails, my hair, and
being the best at no matter what it is that you're doing. Now I don't know when it'll happen.
Well, as you know, I rushed home for this because I decided, I got an hour to kill. I could go to the casino.
Yes.
I think that all the casinos around here have my name like in a database right now. Like, don't give this bitch any money because
it's like that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine is trying to get like her hair or nails done and she's canceled.
Yeah, exactly. It's like for months it's been this way. And you know how lucky I usually am. So it's like, what the hell is going on? So I just told myself today, I'm not gambling around here anymore. I'm just going to only gamble when I'm in Vegas. Because at least then I'm racking up points for free visits and stuff,
I read something a couple months ago about gambling, and this is not a judgment of you gambling or anything, but if you go do it for fun, that's cool, right? But if you are in the mindset that that's how you're going to get money, or that that's the only way you can get money, that it's devaluing yourself because you're basically saying that's the only way you can get money is to win it. And it really made me think differently about like going to buy a lotto ticket to try to win lotto, because like, no, I bring a really good service to the world. I'm going to make money that way. And I'll still get a scratch ticket here and there or buy a ticket. I'm not saying to never do it, but it's about having that mindset the right way. That is like, if you enjoy going and playing the slot machines, go have fun and do it. And it's fun to win money. But there are people who that's the only way they think that they will get any value.
Ever make it big or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you don't think that way. That's why I feel okay saying it. But if you're out there listening, know that you have value and that you deserve to get paid for it.
But all the people that need to hear that right now are down at the casino.
That's true.
Hilarious.
I'm going to stand outside the casino with a banner and some books like those people do outside.
Divorce clinics.
Yeah, well, and even at the courthouse when I was going through my divorce, there's people out there, preaching everything and like how everything, how dare you get divorced and have you met my wife?
Oh.
I'm kidding. Kind of. So how are you, Cheri? Let's hear about what you have going on, what your week is like, what, all that good stuff.
I'm good. I'm excited right now for our good friend Nico Lukoff. He's really on my mind right now because it's an hour later in Idaho and he's opening for Bill Burr tonight.
That is exciting.
That lucky son of a bitch. So
yeah.
I've been talking to him. Everybody's mad about it and happy for him all at the same time.
Exactly. I was going to say, we're a little mad, but happy for you, Nico, because that's cool. You deserve it.
He's the nicest person in the world. I mean, he really is, except for you. But yeah, so I'm thinking about him right now. So, so that's where I'm not right now is the opening for Bill Burr. But I don't have any shows this week. December is very light for me. My grief show is next week on Dave's birthday, which I just thought of today. Like, oh, wait a minute. So we'll have to celebrate before and after. But But we're supposed to go to Nora's birthday this weekend.
Oh, nice. Hopefully the
She just turned 5, but the past is not looking good.
Hmm.
So I don't know what's going to happen there, but we got the presents and we're ready. So
I hope it works out. She's so adorable.
yeah, she is. And we just don't get to see her nearly enough. So there's that. Uh, what's going on with you? No, I was just like looking at an old video and I was talking and I go, well, so there's that. And I'm like, okay.
I know. Yeah, in case you missed it, 2 weeks ago when we had our show, or 3 weeks ago, we discovered that apparently that's something I say all the time. I think Cheri also says it. So
Isn't that funny though, that when people like sometimes mention something that you do all the time that you never really realize that you do?
yeah.
I kind of like that because then it shows you that people really are paying attention to you and they care about you enough to notice
Yeah, that's
shit that you do, you know?
That's a good point, because there is something about like the people in your closest circle, they know those little things that you don't even notice about yourself.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I'm just kind of on a high this week because I had, I had my speaking gig, which I've been mentioning that it was coming up. I was giving the keynote address for the leadership conference for WCTSMA, and I knew a little bit about the organization before I went, but you go to this thing and then you just learn a lot more. And I knew that it was an organization focused on teens interested in pursuing a career in sports medicine, and that this was kind of a leadership group that they were part of in high school. What I didn't know is it's the same type of organization as FFA or DECA. It's one of their sister organizations. They fall under the same umbrella as far as like funding or classification would go. So I get there and there's 500 people, 500 teenagers. And I'm just like, teenagers are a little intimidating, let alone 500 of them.
Right.
But, it was so cool to be speaking in front of a room of 500 teenagers and have it be totally silent because they were listening to what I said, and to have them come up afterwards and ask to get a picture with me, or to say, wow, that really resonated, thank you so much. And to have some adults also say, I know your message was aimed at teenagers, but I took a lot away from it too. It really meant a lot because, this is a business that I'm growing. I'm making this my livelihood. But to me, that's just always the bigger payoff, is those things where you know that you made a difference in someone's life. So I don't know when I'm going to come off that high, but that's the biggest room I've spoken in front of so far. And that felt really good. So I'm just, ready and excited for the next thing. And I know that from that, there will be more that will come out of that. I have a lot of work to do right now to go through the video, pull together speaking stuff. I did a much better job this time of being more active, taking pictures before the event and during the event, and getting videos afterwards of people giving feedback of my speaking. That's something that's hard for me to do, to say, hey, would you mind saying something on camera about what you thought? And so I'm looking forward to being able to pull that together to create some different reels and videos. Well, and that's really going to help my speaking too, because it will show, here's the event, here's the room full of people, open the doors. Yeah, and now I feel like I'm saying that whole thing. But then here's the feedback afterwards where people were still in that energy.
Right.
So it's exciting. I've a lot of work to do. There's just so much going on. And then last night I did the Cold Street Brewery show out in Enumclaw. I had talked to Brandon a little bit about it, but I never really firmed it up until Tuesday night, because I had this thing going on. I was like, I can't even think about extra jokes for a show. And what I really liked about the show in Enumclaw, first of all, it's such a great room, and they have so many regulars that come in there, which is a little daunting because you have to think of not telling the same jokes.
Same jokes, yes, exactly. Because the last time I was there, it was the exact same people that were there the time before. Yeah,
which is cool because they're excited to see you, and they're like calling you by name and like, hey, you're back.
Right.
And so that's a lot of fun. But it was I didn't really know, because I jumped in at the last minute. I didn't really know what the plan was. I just knew we were going to do a roast of the Grinch. So like yesterday during the day, I'm driving around thinking, okay, what am I even going to say about roasting the Grinch? And then I get there and he's like, yeah, we're going to do a 5-minute set first. And then after we're gonna do this, which is not a big deal for like us to come up with a 5-minute set, other than being in a room you're in a lot, where you're just going, okay, well, what combination am I gonna say?
Right.
I was pretty happy. I did my jokes about having parents aging and my Betty and Bob joke, which I've only told once. And then I only had one joke that I told that was one I've told before there, or practically anywhere. So
Right.
it was just really good. The room was laughing, and I loved it. And then the Grinch stuff, I'm not huge on roasting, so they laughed at what I said, but I didn't have the over the top, but it was,
Right.
so
Well,
anyway.
that sounded like fun. So yeah, well, 2 good nights in a row for you.
Yeah, and then I'm putting in a lot of extra hours at the brewery the next couple weeks, just with some vacations and stuff, but that will help pay for holidays and a new car and all that kind of stuff. So I can't complain, other than the fact that it's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, on the 19th, we have a ho ho holiday at Odd Otter
Yes, we do.
with Bo Johnson and assorted other people. And we've sold more tickets ahead of time than we have, for other shows.
So that's
So
exciting.
I think we're looking at a good turnout. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a good idea naming that show after you.
I know, and all my fans are going to come now because it's a ho ho holiday. I need to introduce my new family member,
Oh yeah, you do.
Roxy. She might not know her name yet. Roxy, come. Let's see who shows up. Milo, hey, your name's not Roxy. Roxy, move out of the way. Come here. Come here.
She's like, you're not the one I wanted. So
There's Roxy.
all dressed up. Did she not know she didn't need to put on that red dress tonight?
Yeah, that's funny. That's very
Roxy.
funny. Look at the camera. Say hi.
So
I don't know. She seems kind of weird today. So I'm a little. Of course, I just got home and I haven't really spent any time with her. So
now, is she a Chihuahua or a mix of
yes.
something?
Yeah, she's a Chihuahua. I don't know what she's mixed with. She came from Mexico. Pretty sure she was a street dog down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got fostered. She got some dermatitis. So she's had some problems and she's on some medication. And so they had to shave her. So hence the sweater to keep her warm.
Yeah.
But she looks a little raggedy. She looks like she used to be a street dog in Mexico. And I keep thinking about say hi to Andy.
Hey there.
She seems very state right now. Are you okay?
Well, it's got to be confusing to her to not have you speaking Spanish.
Well, we tried to get her to sit and she wouldn't sit. So we looked up how to say sit in Spanish to see, like, does she just not know English or she just didn't know how to sit? But she's been learning really quickly.
Oh, good.
Feels like she has a fever. But I just came in from outside, so I'm going to take her. Dave doesn't like, we need to buy an animal thermometer.
Oh no.
I was into taking their temperature and then having to throw the thermometer away. But yeah, she feels warm. But I don't know, you might not know this movie, Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman.
Yes.
Did you ever see it?
I did about 8 months ago.
Oh my God, 8 months ago. You're killing me.
Well,
there's a line in the movie. Or no, it's not a line in the movie. It was Dustin Hoffman, after making Tootsie, said that he was really bummed out because he wanted Dorothy to be prettier. He just felt really bad that he couldn't make her prettier. But it really made him realize, like, what women go through, Mm-hmm. And it's like, I've got this beautiful little Chihuahua, but she kind of like Dorothy. Like, I wish she was a little bit prettier.
And I forget, I did watch the movie, but I've only seen it once. Was it Dustin Hoffman that was dressed up like a woman in Tootsie?
Yeah.
He was referring to how he was able to make himself up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's just weird. I don't like this. Might have to tell Dave to bring home a thermometer. As a matter of fact, I'm going to text him right now. Okay, I'm going to put you down, little girl. Anyway, we got her from Sunny Skies Animal Rescue.
And if you guys didn't know, Sunny Skies is where Cheri was filming a lot of her heavy petting, especially for people who didn't have pets. So my episode.
Yeah, back in the day when they had a building and everything, we used to go down there, and when a comedian didn't have a pet, we would borrow one of their pets and try to get them adopted. And it's unfortunate that we can't still do that, because it made me kind of feel like I was doing something, good for the world. I mean, laughter and enjoyment is good for the world.
Yes, it is.
But you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Well, while you're texting Dave, I'm going to let everybody know that I think today we are going to be talking about our pet peeves. One of my pet peeves is people texting while I'm on the phone with them, or trying to have lunch with them, or on a podcast.
We're doing a show with them. Yeah, fuck you.
I'd love to hear your pet peeve. If you have a pet peeve, put it in the comments so that the whole world knows, so that people can stop doing that around you. I have a lot of pet peeves, and I'm not like super, like, I don't think about them all the time, so I don't always notice them. But the two biggest things for me, I'm just going to dive right into it, Cheri, while you're typing. The two biggest pet peeves for me, I call them the incons. The inconsistency and inconsiderations. When people are inconsistent and inconsistent, inconsiderate of other people, it just drives me nuts. Because all you have to do is just pay attention a little bit, and you'll know if you're like standing in somebody's way, or talking too loud in a public space, or it's like a lot of things where I'm just like, okay, this is a pet peeve, that's a pet peeve, but it's really just about people being inconsistent, or cutting across traffic because you think you're going to miss your exit because it's all about you, instead of just going to the next exit and making it, getting off and turning around and coming back. Instead, you could cause a wreck and possibly kill someone.
Mess it up for everybody. Yeah.
And then when people are inconsistent, we all know the people, and they're always the people that have all the drama, where it's like, oh, I'm on a high, and then I'm on a low, and then I'm, this is going to happen and that's going to happen, or they tell you that they want to be a certain way, so you start acting and interacting with them to support that. But then by the time like you then do something to support that, and they're like, why are you doing this? Like, well, because that's what you said you wanted, or that's how you've acted in the past.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, well, that includes being late.
Yeah.
We're early nerds. We're always going to be early. But when you have a friend that is always, you're always waiting for them. And they say that, like, if you're chronically late, that part of that is, he's asking me, didn't I just buy a thermometer last week? Okay, we're going to get into it. Well,
Hi,
yes,
Dave.
but do you want to use it again after we shove it up the dog's butt? Question mark. Yeah, I'll just use it and we can get another one some other time. I'll just use it and we can use it, get a new one some other time. Good.
Wrap it in plastic
I'm
bag.
just shutting that now because that irritated the hell out of me. So
I can't wait to have a reel of outtakes from all our different shows.
I don't outtake ever. So
no, I know, but just pulling them out as if they were and
yeah.
making a thing.
I know I should edit these to make us look better, mostly make me look better, but I don't. Unless it's
the authenticity of it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you were saying how, like someone always being late. Is that like a power thing? Is it what's
kind of their way of control, because they know, they'll wait for me.
Yeah.
And they will, but until they don't, and then maybe you won't be late.
Yeah. That was my one of my ex-in-laws, every single event. And we're not talking like 15-20 minutes, like an hour and a half.
Right.
To the point where it's like, this is, when there's people where you need to tell them a different time the party starts, so that they're there on time. That's
Dave's
just,
sister.
it's
I
ridiculous.
love Jennifer, but Dave's sister, they do literally tell her
Yeah.
like an hour and a half or 2 hours earlier than it is.
And to me, it's just about that inconsideration, because it's like, well, what do you think everybody else is doing while you're there? And I'm just like, you know what, if the party starts at a certain time, that's when it starts. If you show up later, you can eat cold food or you can have
Oh, for
leftovers.
sure, for
I'm
sure.
not about that. And it's not like, oh, it starts at 3, and if you're not there at 3:05, we're starting. I get having like that grace, you know, okay,
Right.
starting here, we're gonna eat about 3:30, whatever. But it's not like we're not putting the whole thing on hold. But then there are times where it's centered around that person, or it's like Christmas. There's like, well, we can't open presents without half the people here. They're bringing gifts for people to open, or whatever. It's just, so.
Right. Or like you're going to a movie with them.
Mm-hmm.
I will go in. I'm not going to stand outside and wait for someone that's late.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like hanging out with you, because we're always obnoxiously early.
We are.
You know, you got to have that time to chat before the event.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't be chatting during the event. So there you go. And then we get to eat, and, you know, without a lot of people looking at us.
Exactly. Well, and also, like, for me, you know, there are times like things come up and you're going to be late, but when it's chronic, that's when it's a problem. And also when you don't let people know, like, hey, I got stuck, I'm running behind, whatever, at least give a little shout out, you know. And
right.
So yeah,
all right, go ahead.
I used to be late all the time, and I put too much in my day, or I wasn't, I don't know, I always felt like I was running behind, and I just didn't value it enough, and didn't realize how like, I didn't think about it as being that inconsiderate to other people. So I really changed that the last few years. And also when I started running my own business, it became, I can't be late to an appointment. Like, that's just not
right.
an option.
Makes you look bad. Yeah.
And I started caring a lot more. You know, I used to just be going through the motions in life, and that was one of the things. It's like I was just doing what I felt like I was required to do or needed to do. And so if your heart's not in it, then it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't about a control thing. It was just like, God,
well, then it doesn't matter that much, right?
Yeah.
Well, then that's exactly what I feel like when I make an appointment or date with someone to go out and they don't show up on time. I feel like, okay, you're telling me I'm not that important.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, all right, let me tell you a couple of my pet peeves.
Okay.
People who don't go when the light turns green. Now, I understand, you know, you got to make sure you're not going to get T-boned or something, but
Inconsiderate.
if only 7 of us can get through the light, but only 3 of us got through the light because it took you, and then like here one car goes and they're all the way through the intersection before the next one starts.
Right.
When the light's green, go. We're in a hurry. We're all in a hurry. Just freaking go.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody wants to keep going. Everybody wants to move.
I mean, you know, so every now and then we all get caught peeking at our phone and like, oops, or do it, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, no. But you know my number 1 pet peeve, don't you?
People blowing their nose in a restaurant.
Yeah. That one doesn't even need to be said. I think the whole world knows that one.
And like I said, both of these, very inconsiderate.
There you go, right? Those are my 2 big ones, just for those. Go when the light's green. Don't blow your nose in a restaurant.
Or any type of food establishment. Anywhere people are eating. A restaurant, a movie theater, like.
Yeah. People that talk during a movie don't like that.
No. Inconsiderate.
I mean, it's okay. Like you're like, what, you know, but like, yeah. Some people.
Well, I think I told you this story, but when I went to see Top Gun, and I went with a couple of friends of mine, and we're sitting there at the movie theater, and before the movie starts, there was an older couple that was sitting to the left of me, and it was like one space and then them, or maybe he was like right next to us. I can't remember. It was just right there, and the whole theater was empty. And it was one of those where you buy your tickets and they give you the seat, but when you go in and it's completely empty, you could go, like, you know, leave a space. I don't think he left a space, so he's sitting right next to me, and then he gets up to go like refill his popcorn before the movie starts, like the last preview before the movie starts. Well, he kind of tripped over his wife's foot, but like in slow motion fell down and was holding on to both the seats and just kind of sat down in it. And he just sat there for minutes. And she's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" He's like, I'm fine. Don't worry, I'm good." And so I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna go make a fuss because that can be embarrassing to people. If they say they're fine, that's that's like, to me, it's kind of a respect thing. Just leave them alone. Well, then he just sat there for like a good minute or minute and a half. Like, it's a long time when you're just sitting there on the ground in the nasty ass stained ground in the movie, right? So he's just sitting there between the two seats. So the guy from behind walks over. He's like, "You okay, man?" And he like gives him his hand to help pull him up. And the guy's like, "No, I'm fine." Blah blah. Well, then he goes, refills his popcorn, and he's coming back. Well, now the movie's starting, and then you think that he would sit on the other side of his wife so that we don't do this again. He doesn't. He like starts like trying to trip over her feet, and there the recliner thing, so she's got to put her feet down, and just annoying, right? So I'm just annoyed, and I'm not going to be a jerk, but whatever. I mean, accidents happen, but I was just like, really, why did you have to get back to the other side? Whatever. Because by this time the movie started and there's like 8 people in there in the whole theater. So not even anybody else in the row that we were in.
Oh, it's always the people. Like, I always get seats on the end of any event. Because I like to be able to get in and out if I have to go to the bathroom or something. It's always the ones that get the seats in the middle of the aisle that keep getting up.
Yeah, because it's
all about a concert or something like that. Oh my God. And then walking in front of everybody, walking on their feet and going to the bathroom and getting a beer or whatever, and coming back and getting, oh my God.
Well, then I'm going to tell you a little bit about the movie here, and this is not a spoiler at all. It's not going to spoil anything.
And when was that movie? I've never seen the movie, but when did it come out?
This spring. It's like 6 months ago or something.
Top Gun?
This is the second Top Gun. This is the Top Gun Maverick. So in the movie, Tom Cruise is like flying planes, doing all this stuff, and he's like 59 years old or 60 right now. And the guy leans over to his wife. Doesn't he actually even lean over? She's like, "There's no way he'd be able to do all this. He's like whatever age." And then they're arguing without whispering about how old he is. He's like, "Well, he's like 60 some years old, blah, blah, blah." I shit you not. Then he takes out his phone. And by now it's the quietest part of the movie because it's like the one romantic scene where it's just like quiet and talking. It's not even like a big thunderous planes going. So it's quiet, conversational part where you want to hear what they're saying. And I get Dingleberry next to me talking into his phone on Google. "Hey, Google, how old is Tom Cruise?" And then he's like looking at us. "Oh, he's 60. He was 59 when this was made." Blah, blah. And he's like reading out loud, and then it's answering, because when you say it to Google, it reads it back. And then his wife's like, "Oh, really?" And then they're having a whole on conversation about this.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I can't yell at him because then I'm yelling at the guy who just fell, like Gramps had just landed on the ground. I look like the jackass. I'm like, really? Well, then it's like, "Oh, that's his wife." "No, that's his first wife, blah, blah." So then we get the phone out again. It's like, "Who's Tom Cruise's wife?" Or "What was his wife?" And I'm just like, oh my God.
Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah.
It was a whole thing. Like, I was about to just tell them to, and I'm like nudging Joe and Tufan next to me going, like, "Do you see what's going on over here?" And anyway, so that was that about.
I probably would have embarrassed you because well, you know how I get, like at a comedy show when people are talking, I get so mad. And I do realize a lot of it is because I have trouble hearing if there's more than one thing going on. And so if I'm listening to this and someone starts talking, it distracts it just distracts me. And it really
stuff, I have to put headphones in and listen to classical music that doesn't have lyrics to drown out. Because if I hear a background, someone ordering coffee or whatever, all of a sudden it's like I go to it.
Right. So yeah. So that, and plus it's just rude. It's just plain rude.
Right.
Now my mother, she talks on her cell phone on speakerphone out in public.
That is a pet peeve. That is a definite.
Mine too. But again, I said something to her once. I said, "Hey, Mom, you know that phones have this feature now where you could just like hold it up to your ear and listen to it and nobody else has to hear your conversation." And she told me to shut up. So there we go.
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, I've been places where someone will be like on their phone and it's kind of a loud place, and maybe they don't realize it's on speakerphone and they're holding it up to their ear and it's on
Oh,
speakerphone, like in the airport.
yeah,
And sometimes it's a conversation sometimes that I wouldn't think want everyone to hear.
I know. Yeah. I've heard women in the bathroom in the stall talking on speakerphone.
I always flush the toilet extra times when I'm in the bathroom and someone's on the phone.
That's a good idea. I should do that next time.
Get out my
Flush
phone.
and fart as loud as I
Yeah.
can.
Get out my phone and go to a fart noise making app. And
Do they have that?
I'm sure they
I
do.
think they do. I remember
I used to
I
have
remember
one.
something, it was like all the different kind of farts or something like that.
Yeah, I think I had one on my old phones. It's like,
Yeah, so I need to get out to some open mics, but I'm really nervous about it.
mhm. You know, it was interesting. Last night, it was fun because I'm speaking all the time. I'm not always doing comedy shows, but I put comedy into my speeches, and I do the open mic at Otter here and there and test some new jokes and play around with them. And it feels really good to be that active that when I get on stage, I'm not like, oh, getting back out there. It's just I'm pulling
Hmm.
back up, playing around with what jokes I want to do. And then I was talking to, I think, Matt and Brandon afterwards, and just talking about comedy and stuff. And I was like, well, I just, where I'm at now, I'm so focused on my other stuff. I love doing comedy. If I get asked to be on a show, it's fun. I'll do it. But I'm not putting a lot of time in begging to be on shows, and it's hard. And it's hard for me to have time to go to open mics. It would be fun sometimes to go work out some new stuff.
Hmm.
But I've just been practicing putting those into other things, and that's been working. So
That's cool. I was realizing last night that I went, I told you, I went to Trenchers. Went and closed out the show at Trenchers on Tuesday night, and
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was, that place is just, there's a weirdness about it. I think partially because the stage is weird.
hmm
First of all, because it's just like you're up so much higher than the audience is down, and then the waiters are, the wait staff is walking
and yeah,
right in front of you
yeah.
the whole time. Not, but I mean down by where the people are. So there's a couple hurdles you have to overcome.
And it's also an L-shaped room, so it's not like you have people all the way around you, but you have people on to the side of you and almost behind you at
Right,
this in those
right,
far booths.
right.
And then all the way over to where they're not even lined up with you. They
Right.
might be seeing you very well.
Yeah, which is where the nice ladies sit. And so you want to acknowledge them, but then
Right.
but no, I'm not saying anything bad about this room because I love the room. I always have a good time there, but it's always a little challenging.
hmm
It's not like a, Tacoma Comedy Club roaring laughter kind of an experience.
Which is
It's
always kind
more,
of the case at bar shows.
right. But usually, I mean, at a bar show, like I usually do really well, but there it's different. And anyway, so I could see him smiling. I could hear him laughing. It wasn't exactly the response I wanted. And a couple times they didn't give my joke the proper respect. So I might have told him to fuck off a couple times. But for the most part, it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And there were four guys sitting in the front, and they were not there for comedy. They'd been there since 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So they'd had and they looked, there were some kind of like, I don't know, tech guys or Microsoft guys or uh, business guys, but kind of douchebag like kind of guys.
Yeah.
A
It
couple of them.
sounds like tech industry, kind of like,
Yeah. So they
offense,
were,
y'all.
I mean, like they looked like they could be like, I don't know, financial guys. I don't know what they were, but they were guys. And they kept kind of talking during everyone's set. They had been talking. Like first they weren't going to listen at all, and then they kind of got their attention grabbed, and then they would go back to their conversation. And then having someone in the front row doing that,
Yeah.
you know
That's
what I
hard
mean?
right up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were like fine with me. And then all of a sudden I kind of lost them for a while. And then they came back. And then well, I said, I was doing my yawning joke. I said, who here is single and looking? And one of them said, well, he's not single, but he's looking. And I go, okay, well, I'm going to come back to you guys in a minute, you know, and finished my joke and then went back and proceeded to just kind of roast them, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it felt really good, like, because I was kind of pissed at him. So there was a little anger underneath.
Uh-huh.
Not pissed, but a little irritated with him. Let's put it that way. And then when he said, oh, he's looking, but he's not single, that as a woman, I didn't like that either. So I thought, well, I'm going to take this opportunity to take this little bit of anger and irritation out on these guys. And it actually felt really good. I did go back down and say, oh, thanks for being a good sport. And I just had said one of them seemed really nice. And so I said, he's very polite during sex. His sex is full of please and thank yous. And they laughed. And then when I went down there, the guy that I said high fives himself when he has sex, said to me, what did you say about him? And I go, his sex is very polite. He says, please and thank you. And he's like, he's exactly like that, you know. It was really funny to me that they thought that was so funny that I had nailed him. But point of this whole story, I got off the, you know how I love to talk about this kind of stuff. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't, you know, sometimes I have that hesitation of like, I'm going to hurt their feelings, or I didn't care if I hurt these guys' feelings, and it was so much power. And then I'm realizing, okay, like I don't need to be fueled by anger all the time, but just knowing that feeling of power, and it made it good. I mean, they weren't mad at me afterwards, you know. They might have been mad right in the minute, but I just thought, okay, I have a lot more power than I give myself credit for.
Yeah, we forget that when we're on stage, like we are there commanding the room. I did a thing in the middle of my talk where I said, okay, everybody, I want you to stretch your hand out as high as you can. Like, how far can you reach your hand up in the air if you've never heard of TikTok? And so all these hands are up, and all of a sudden they're like, and it's like, I was like, see, you have to, like, it was all about, because I was talking about influence and trust in leadership, and like, you know, you aren't going to follow people if you don't trust them. But it's like, it's just funny because I was thinking, oh my God. And I just did that one little bit, but I thought I want to pull that into more stuff in more talks where I'm really showing like how much I can take the room different directions.
Yeah, that's really good. Dave says maybe we should take the dog's sweater off if she's hot.
I don't know.
I'm just going to go look and see if we have any comments. So if we could answer.
I just looked, there's none.
There's no one's going to tell us what their pet peeves are.
I just checked. Well, they may, if you're watching this in the after, post your pet peeves, and we will be able to watch for them and reply. Plus, everybody will know. So be sure.
I like to know, because I know some people have different pet peeves. I like pet peeves that are really unusual.
Yeah, especially when it's I find it interesting when there's a very specific pet peeve. You know, when you meet somebody and they're just like, I hate when someone does you know, blah, 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 or whatever. And
right, and you're like, oh, that's weird.
And sometimes I'm like, yeah, that does bug me, but it wasn't maybe top of the list, or I didn't have it, you know, like that. But
I hate when people like open something like a yogurt or a pudding or something. And
oh God, I knew that's what you're gonna do. I hate you.
Oh God, that makes me so. And why does it make me mad? You know, like
I used to work with someone who would order like chicken wings and stuff, and every time they would eat their food, they would like lick their fingers. Only they would put like their whole finger in their mouth and like pull it out. It's just like, that's so nasty. Like I don't even like to lick my fingers because I feel like they're dirty. Like I don't like getting my food, you know. But if like there's a little something, I'll give it like the little nibble kiss kind of thing and like get it off there. But anything more than that, I'm not.
That's funny because one time back in was it the 70s or the 80s? Anyway, that's how long ago it was. There was a girl that worked at my mom's restaurant, and Scott, my friend, saw her. Now Scott was a big germaphobe, Scott saw her one time like making a burger and then lick her fingers.
Oh God. Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, he, it was dealt with. Let's just say it was dealt with.
Right.
He caused
Well,
such
and
a
the thing is,
about it.
that's the thing about having other people prepare your food. People have bad habits, and I just sometimes when I go out, I just don't.
You just can't think about that kind of stuff. But what my point is that he would still bring that up 30 years later,
Yeah.
that one time that he saw her lick that ketchup off her finger. It's just so funny that he would still and still get mad all over again about it. That's just
Right.
hilarious to me. He only knew all the times that I dropped like onion rings and picked him up and I put him back in the grease and that would kill it, whatever
Well,
it was.
Yeah, it always even grosses me out. Like, when you go to a pizza place and they don't have to wear gloves like before it's cooked, like uncooked food. And most places do now, but they used to not at all. And I'm just like, it's just nasty to watch them like preparing food without gloves.
Yeah.
But then even worse or just as bad is when they are doing everything with the gloves on. It's like, the gloves aren't there to keep your hands clean. They're there to keep the food clean. And so if you're taking money and busting the tables and then you come back and go.
Oh, yeah. The money is the filthiest. Yeah.
So
dirty money. It's so dirty.
I ordered Chinese food one time and I was at this restaurant. I never went back there again. There was this, it was like one of those family places where it was like, all generations there, but it was like the grandma was outside with her gloves on, like picking at her toenails. I'm just like, oh God, there's no way she's gonna get your gloves. Nasty. I don't need grandma's toenail clippings in my.
Wow, Silas has lost a lot of weight. It's funny how you see someone posting periodically, but then when you get the big picture, the before and after, it's like.
Congrats! I didn't see his comment. I'll have to look at it really quick here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and personally, I don't congratulate people on weight loss. It's a long story why, and I know that would be a whole show's worth because you don't always know why they've lost weight, and it might not be a good job.
Right. Yeah.
That caused that weight loss, and it's really trying to learn how to not comment on each other's bodies. But if you're showing it off on Facebook, then
it's one of those things where you have to look at, is someone celebrating this change they're making, and whatever the change is. It's like even when people relocate or get divorced or change jobs, you don't always know if you should say congratulations or good job, but you let them take the lead on if it's a celebration or something they want to talk about and share or not.
Oh, well, it looks like my good friend Ken Hamlet is shooting shows in Portland and Salem this weekend, and
that's exciting.
That's weird because he didn't ask me to do the show, and that's not a long drive.
I like that our podcast is so intriguing that even the host just gets on Facebook and scrolls while we're recording.
I'm looking for comments
on other people's posts.
Then I get distracted. Okay, I get distracted.
Speaking of pet peeves.
I do. I really have undiagnosed ADHD. I bet money on it.
Oh, I'm sure I do too. I know I do, just from
squirrel constantly.
Yeah, I was just talking about this at the coffee shop today with the barista there about ADD and ADHD, and because she was referring to her kid, and I was like, yeah, and herself, and I'm like, yeah, I know I do. And, not diagnosed, but I read there's a book.
Quiz.
I did, me too. There's a book called Driven to Distraction, and it has one of those 20 questions, and I got 16 or 18 of them checked, and it's like if you get 10 or 12, you pass.
Yeah.
But
you pass.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But the thing is, there's things that, just like anything, like with dyslexia, there's a book called The Gift of Dyslexia, and it talks about how people when we approach things differently, when we can think about things differently or get distracted differently, or one of the things with ADD or ADHD is that you can also hyper focus and block everything out to a degree. And so that allows
Sometimes
a lot
it's
of
really good. Yeah.
yeah. And
Sometimes I'll sit in here on something and for hours and it doesn't bother me at all. I could be in here all day, but I, at a certain point realize, oh, I guess I could pay some attention to my family.
That's fair. So next week we're going to be back. We've got 2 more weeks before the end of before Christmas.
The end of the year. Yeah. So I was thinking next week, since we talked about negative things this week, we could talk about positive things. I don't know how we want to do that, in what, in what way. We'll talk about it, figure it out.
All sugar and spice and everything nice.
Yeah.
All of our favorites. It'll be a few of our favorite things.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
We could take the 29th off if I could make a end of the year retrospective show, kind of.
That'd be fun. I can't wait for us to have our live studio audience recordings when we have our giant sponsors and we can do like our favorite things show. Be like, and you get a car, and you get an iPad, and you get a tennis bracelet.
Yeah. And you blew your nose in a restaurant, so you don't get anything.
Right. Also, when people fart too close to you, like especially if you're walking behind them. Like, I get it. Sometimes it slips out, but
it doesn't. It doesn't slip out. It should not slip out.
Well, one slipped out today when the chiropractor, he does this thing where he has me.
Well, at the chiropractor, I mean,
he like does this big squeeze, and he did it. And it's like at the same time that he did it, I heard crack, and I felt it, so I don't know that he heard it because it was really short and sweet. But I was like, oh fuck. Cute too, so that I'm just
embarrassing. I've always worried about that during massage, because sometimes they'll start rubbing and I'm like, uh-oh, know, but so far so good.
Well, I told you about like 2 or 3 weeks ago where I went over to Dawn and Cheri's and she had made 15 bean soup. And then an hour later, I have a massage appointment and I was clenching the whole time like this. I cannot relax certain things.
I know. So it's like, how can you relax for a massage if you're worried about that? That's a thing.
Yeah. And I had a second bowl too. If I wouldn't have had the second bowl, like I should have just had the foresight to know, but it was delicious. Cheri's a very good cook.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
Bean soup sounds delicious.
Yes.
Dave's picking something up for us. We're eating at that will not be mentioned.
Yum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to get it today because they're closed on Sunday. Yesterday Cheri made Mexican lasagna. It's really good.
Oh, well, I used to make that. That's good. Yeah,
it's delicious. So,
all right, we're at 4:51. So we'll see you guys all back next week, and be sure to like and subscribe and comment and do us a solid.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye. Bye.